Hello, everybody, and welcome into the NJCAA Network as our Selection Sunday continues with NJCAA Division I men's basketball. Hey, everybody, I'm Zach McKinstry. Really excited to unveil this bracket, the 24 teams, 16 district champs, 8 at-large bids, and a busy day on our selection show. We've got an interview with the number 1 seed coming up. We talk with the committee chair as well and get some insight from our JUCO Jam folks. And a reminder before we get going that you can follow along this entire tournament by watching on ESPN Plus or staying up to date by following us on social media at NJCAA Basketball or at NJCAA Network on X. And while we're on that topic, you can stay up to date with everything going on within the NJCAA by looking up hashtag same game, same rules. All right, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive in to what this tournament looks like. So as you can see, there are 24 teams, again 16 district champs and 8 at-large bids, but the number 1 through number 8 seeds get first round byes. They're all the way through to the second round. Everyone else will have to play in. The tournament runs from March 22nd to 29th, as always in Hutchinson, Kansas, our fantastic host for D1 men's basketball. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it, starting in the top left corner with our first matchup, the 16 and the 17. The 16 seed is John A. Logan. The 22-23 national champ comes back to Kansas for the first time since that title. The Vols are 23-9, but got hot when they needed it, winning their last 10 contests en route to a dominant run in the Region 24 tournament. The Smith-Peters coaching tree has plenty of championship-level experience, and Tyler takes his team to another tournament after leading the ship in 23. They get the 17 seed, Connors State. Making their 17th appearance in school history, the Cowboys reached the Final Four last season as the number 19 seed. This year's squad sits at 28-3, having won their last 10 contests. Look out for Edwin Daniel, who averages 12.3 points per game and leads the country with 12.3 rebounds per game, while also being second in blocks. Winner of the 16 and 17 matchup gets the number 1 overall seed in this tournament. It is the Snow Badgers. The Badgers are making their 4th appearance in program history and have a 32-1 record, with their only loss coming in November. This was the first district championship in school history. Snow has 5 players who average double-digit points per game and are led by forward Isaac Finlinson, who has led the Badgers with 19 points per game and grabbing 6.6 rebounds per game. They're the number 1 seed as we move to the 9 and 24 matchup, starting with a 9 seed and an at-large bid, Barton. Last year's national champ will defend their crown as an at-large bid. After losing a lot of star power from last year's magical run, they still pieced together 25 wins and a run to the district championship game where they fell short to Cowley. Scoring can come from a lot of places for this Barton side, but the sophomore guard combo of Brent Moss and Keandre Lindell combined for 33 a game so far this year. They get the 24 seed, Brunswick. The Dolphins are dancing. A monster second half in the Region 10 championship pushed them through, outscoring Cape Fear 63-47 to lock up the Atlantic District crown. Region 10 active wins leader and longtime Brunswick head coach Walter Shaw gets his high-scoring offense back to Hutch after a perfect 17-0 record at home this year. Can they get it done 1,300 miles from their own court? We'll find out as they get the 24 seed. Winner gets the 8 seed. Another at-large bid, Daytona State. Wow. DSC gets a first-round bye, and the Falcons are in as another at-large. Outside of a couple forfeits, they had won 25 straight games before losing to Gulf Coast State in the semifinal. A high-powered up-tempo offense that averages 95 points a game has 8 different players averaging 8.5 or more points this season. Moving on to the next set of matchups, the 13 and 20 seed. The 13 seed is another at-large, Chipola. The Indians are in, surviving the gauntlet of a conference schedule, playing 4 ranked teams in February and finishing 6-3 in their last 9. It's the 20th trip to Hutch all time for Chipola. That's one of only 6 programs to accomplish that feat. They get the 20 seed in the opening round, Monroe. The Mustangs needed a big second half in the East District Finals to make it to Hutch, and that's exactly what they got, going from trailing by 9 at the break to beating Harcum College 77-70. The starting five has done the heavy lifting for Monroe, with 61 of the 82 points on average coming from the starting five this season. Winner of the 13 and 20 gets the 4 seed, South Plains. 15th appearance in school history for South Plains, who defeated McLennan in the Southwest District Championship behind Caleb Blackwell's 25 points. The Texans were the preseason number 1 team and sit as the number 4 overall seed in the bracket. Isaac Taveras is their leading scorer at just under 17 points a game. Moving forward, the 12 and the 21 seed. The 12 seed is another at-large, Angelina. The Roadrunners are in. The loss in the regional semifinals will not be the end of the season for Angelina. One of the best defenses in the country, the Roadrunners allow the least points of anyone in the NJCAA. They take on the number 21 seed, South Georgia State. The Hawks are back in Hutch for the second straight season and the 4th all-time. They average 82.5 points per game. The two-headed dragon of Devon Rainey and Justin McCarter lead the charge for the Hawks, averaging 19 and 17.2 points per game. Winner of the 12 and 21 gets the 5 seed, Jones. Mississippi basketball has been a lot of fun to watch this year, and leading the pack out of the MACCC has been Jones. Newton Mueller has claimed Gulf District championships in back-to-back seasons for the Bobcats, with this year's team looking even stronger, sporting a 30-3 record. The guard trio of L.J. Hackman and the Purnell brothers have been phenomenal this season, combining for 45 points per game between the three. On to the next matchup, a 15 and 18 seed alignment in the first round. The 15 seed is another at-large, Triton. The 2024 runners-up are making their 3rd appearance in Hutch. They were the runners-up in the Midwest District Tournament, falling to Three Rivers by 12 points. Look out for Daquan Anderson and VJ Wallace, each average at least 16 points per game. 15 seed gets the 18 seed, Columbia State. After a thrilling OT finish against Roane State in the region semifinals, the championship was a lot less stressful for Charger fans, who breezed to a 22-point victory over Pellissippi State to punch their ticket. It's the first time since 2020 for Columbia State, behind sophomore Thaddeus Johnson, who is dropping 15 points a night while shooting 43.7% from deep. Winner of the 15 and 18 gets the 2 seed, Cowley. Cowley is making their 8th appearance in school history. They were the runners-up in 2021 and played in one of the best title games of all time. The Tigers are Plains District champions and defeating defending champion Barton in the district championship. 5 players averaged double-digit points, with Marcus Whitlock Jr. leading the way with 16 per game. On to the next set of matchups, 10 versus 23. The 10 seed is Pensacola State. The Pirates are going back to Hutch for the first time since 1993. Pensacola State defeated Gulf Coast State 54-51 to clinch the South Atlantic District Championship. 4 players averaged double figures, with a man in the middle, Dimitri Clerk, averaging 11.2 and 7.3 rebounds per game. They get the number 23 seed, Trinidad State. The Trojans are back in Hutch for the 4th consecutive season and hold an 18-14 record. They won the Northwest Plains District by defeating Casper and Gillette. Look out for Lateef Patrick, who is 3rd in the nation in scoring at 23.8 points a game. Winner of the 10 and 23 gets the 7 seed, another at-large bid, Trinity Valley. The Cardinals were selected as an at-large bid. It's their 12th appearance in school history. They hold a 30-3 record and lost to Panola in the Mid-South District Championship by 9 points. The Cardinals are one of the best defensive teams in the country, holding to opponents to 57.4 points per game and forcing over 15 turnovers per contest. Time for the 14 and 19 matchup, one of the final 2 sections of this bracket. The 14 seed is Vincennes. Vincennes has been selected as an at-large team and are making their NJCAA record 39th appearance in Hutch. They were ranked number 6 in the final regular season poll, but the Trailblazers fell in the Central District Tournament to Kaskaskia. Sophomore guard LeBron Thomas leads the Trailblazers in points and assists, and he's going to be a name to look out for as this tournament progresses. 14 seed Vincennes gets the 19 seed, Three Rivers. It's been a great season for the Raiders of Three Rivers, who took home their first region title since 2017 and are dancing for the first time since 2012. I mentioned it in the women's show, as the Lady Raiders are also into their tournament, but prayers to those affected by the tornado in Poplar Bluff this weekend, and hoping that all those a part of the Three Rivers community are okay. Excited to see this team that survived a triple OT thriller in the region semifinal and a battle against Triton in the district championship try to stay hot when they make their trip to Hutch. Winner of the 19 and 14 gets the 3 seed, Indian Hills. 20th appearance in program history for the Warriors, who have made the Final Four the last 2 seasons. They defeated number 22 Dawson in the district championship game by 4 points. Sophomore Caden Nation led the Warriors in that game with a game-high 15 points. All right, time for the last first-round matchup and our last at-large bid on the way. The 11 seed is Frank Phillips. For the first time since 1958, Frank Phillips is national tournament bound. The Plainsmen had 5 wins last year until head coach Hunter Jenkins came in and turned the entire program around. A feel-good story and tons of Cinderella material for this FPC squad. They'll take on the 22 seed, Wallace State Hansville. First appearance in Hutch for Wallace State. The Lions are 26-5 on the season and captured the South District Championship over Southern Union State. Features 2 of the most prolific players in the country. Cammie Young is 7th in the nation in scoring at 22.7 per game, and their big man, Christian Thompson, is dominant on the glass, averaging 11.2 a game, the 3rd most in the country. Final team in the bracket, the 6th seed, and another first-round bye, is Panola. The Ponies are making their 3rd tournament appearance in program history and 2nd consecutive. Panola defeated number 2 Trinity Valley in the Mid-South District Championship 67-59, with sophomore guard Coy Thurman leading the team in scoring at 14.9 per game, while also earning 6.6 assists per contest. So let's zoom out, take a look at the full field. Back to the top left corner, John A. Logan, the 16, takes on Connor State to start. Winner of that gets Snow. Barton, an at-large bid at the 9 seed, gets Brunswick in the first round, with Daytona State getting the first round bye. Chipola, the 13, takes on Monroe. Winner gets South Plains. Angelina into the tournament as the 12 seed, taking on South Georgia State. Winner gets the 5 seed Jones. 15 seed is Triton, another at-large, taking on 18 seed Columbia State. Winner gets the 2 seed Cowley. Then Pensacola State and Trinidad State, the 10 and 23, with a winner getting Trinity Valley. Vincennes and Three Rivers, the 14 and 19 matchup. That should be a good one, with the 3 seed Indian Hills waiting in the wings. 11 seed Frank Phillips gets 22 seed Wallace State. And the winner of that gets the 6 seed Panola. A reminder, all of those games going on ESPN Plus from March 22nd to the 29th. Cannot wait to see you there in Hutchinson, Kansas. All right, do not go anywhere. When we come back, we talk to the Snow Badgers head coach, the number 1 seed, Andrew May, to talk about Snow's unbelievably historic season and what they've done to earn this number 1 seed. We're back in a moment on the NJCAA Network.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back into the NJCAA Network. Joining us now is the head coach of the number 1 seed Snow Badgers. It is Coach Andrew May. Coach, congratulations and thanks for joining us on this Sunday.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Super excited to be here. Obviously, a really happy day for a lot of teams, and, it's March Madness, baby. It's a great time of year.
Well, first things first, again, congratulations. Number 1 seed, what is your excitement and what was your reaction when you found out the news?
I mean, obviously super proud for our program, for our community. They've been playing basketball here for a really, really long time, over 100 years. I think the first conference championship was back in 1923. So, but this is the first time we've ever been the number 1 seed, first time winning our district championship. And so Obviously super happy for our community. I think our community is super involved and just on fire with what this team's been able to do. And so excited.
Yeah, and preseason at the start of the year ranked 24 in the preseason poll, worked your way up to that number 1 seed, and now the number 1 overall ranking for the tournament. Has the mentality shifted as you know you're the top dogs coming into the tournament, or do you keep it the same with what's been working?
For sure, keep it the same. As far as the season's been a challenge from the beginning. We definitely scheduled a challenging schedule. There's 185 D1 JUCO teams, and we've played a very small chunk of them, but just challenged ourselves with the schedule. And so I know our approach will be, to continue to focus on what we got next, which is our very first game. And, we won't know the matchup yet, but we're obviously finding out now. So that'll be great.
Last thing I had for you, Coach. What do you want the folks watching in Hutch to know about this Snow team?
Yeah, first of all, super excited for this opportunity to play at Hutch. I've coached at Hutch a couple times before, and it's such an awesome experience. The fans that come and support, and there's nothing really quite like it. And so I'm really excited for our guys to have that experience, and also just that there's so many fantastic teams in this tournament. There's just fantastic coaches in junior college, and especially at Hutch, it's going to be absolute battles every single game. And so what fans can really expect from our team is just, a team that loves to play together. They really genuinely enjoy each other. And then a team that plays unselfishly. They love to have others succeed on the team because they know it's good for all of us. And so a team that competes and plays very hard consistently. Our guys are going to be super excited for the opportunity, and I hope fans there and everybody that gets to watch will be able to play as well as we can.
Yeah, I hope to see that camaraderie in a little over a week, starting next week, this tournament. Coach, congratulations again. Thanks for taking the time with us on this Sunday, and good luck next week.
Thank you so much for having us on. Appreciate it.
Stay with us here on the NJCAA Network. When we come back, we will talk to Tom McDonald, the Division I Men's Basketball Committee Chair, to talk about the bubble and what went on in the discussion for that. So stick around. We'll be back in a moment.
Credit Union One, the official banking partner of the National Junior College Athletic Association, offers the best of everyday banking. CU1 members gain access to competitive products like high-yield checking, dedicated financial wellness resources to help you build a strong foundation for the future, and nationwide access through 24/7 digital and mobile banking and an expansive network of 90,000 ATMs from coast to coast. Discover better banking for all at cu1.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
Welcome back into the NJCAA Network. Joining us now is the Division I Men's Basketball Committee Chair, Tom McDonald. Tom, thanks for joining us. I know it was a busy morning. Appreciate you hopping on this Sunday.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a great process. Our committee is unbelievable. What they've done. I was looking last night. This is how bored I was after watching all the games. I kind of went through withdrawal. I looked at our text messages that started the whole year really on January 20th. There's over 2,000 text messages to our committee of games, thoughts. So I really commend them because it's when you're getting text messages at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I'm sure your spouses aren't exactly the happiest people in the world.
Yeah, and I'm just sure it did make it a lot easier with the way the district championships played out over the last week and last night. With the bubble, to start with that, you have Moberly area outside looking in, Eastern Arizona, Gulf Coast State. What were the discussions around those teams in those 8 at-large bids?
Well, first, I would say this. This isn't from me. This is really from our committee, because I've only been on the committee for 2 years, is they thought this was maybe the deepest at-large pool ever, at least what they remember. But if starting with like Eastern Arizona, the big thing is we have so much information at our hands disposal, where you look at their overall body of work, great season. They played Snow to an unbelievable game yesterday. But when you really dove in and you looked at, they only had 1 win against a team that had 20 wins. And then they only had 1 a receiving vote victory on their schedule. That's a tough thing. I mean, it's hard to schedule. I understand that it is, because you're predicting how the teams are going to be, but that's a big one. Just the sheer number of the strength of the schedule. Now, when you go to Gulf Coast, talk about a great season, especially down the stretch, the run that they had, and some of their great wins. But what it came down to was, you have Pensacola getting in the championship, winning the championship, and moving on as an automatic qualifier. And it was almost like a play-in game. Who won and who lost was going to be the team that was kind of left out. They had a great run. Everything was really good. Their numbers were all good. The analytics were all good. It just came down to a numbers crunch of where do they fit into the big picture of those 8 teams at large. And they were right there. And I could go on and say the same thing about Moberly. You get Moberly, and you got a loss down the stretch against Southeastern Community College. You also have the 2 losses against Three Rivers, even though they ended up like 2-2 in the for the season. It really got to, then all of a sudden, and then the big one when Three Rivers beats Triton. So all of a sudden they're in. Triton, Moberly, how they fit. And the other one is strength of schedule. Not that we look at the Massey report with like 100% clarity and all those, but it does give you an indicator. I mean, I could talk to you for an hour on all the information we had for our committee, from history to the districts, the regions, all that. And it really helped us, gave us a lot of clarity, a lot of analytics, a lot of information that we could go to that put us in a pretty good place. It's really difficult. Moberly, Eastern Arizona, Coffeyville, McLennan, and Gulf Coast. I mean, those were really tough ones to go through, but the committee did an unbelievable job. And then what it comes down to is sheer numbers. When you can put on the screen every single team right next to each other, and you can kind of dissect it, and it makes it a lot easier when you're working with real numbers and real outcomes and all that, instead of just, hey, I think they're pretty good. And that's not what this committee did. I mean, from day one to today, this morning, they just got done. They were all in. I mean, they gave everything they've got, and they really did a great job of kind of just dissecting the numbers. One thing I would just say this, being on the NABC board of directors, I got to twice sit in after the fact of how the NCAA does these things, the picking of the teams. We almost emulated almost identically, and being able to put things on the screen and where you can put them side by side is just a great thing.
Yeah, you talked a lot about the information that you guys have at your fingertips for seeding and for these at-large bids. What are those metrics that you guys rely on heavily?
Oh, well, wins and losses. I mean, that's number one. But number two that we really dug into was how many Division I wins did each team have? I mean, they may have a lot of wins, and then the strength of the teams. One thing we really tried to zero in on was how many teams did they beat that won 20 games? So that was a big indicator too. I look at myself as just on the committee, how they do on the road, how they do at home, how they do on a neutral site, and then how they do in the last 10 games. How did they do against ranked teams? Division I, II, and III. We had some uniqueness this year. We had some games that were forfeited. How do we account for them? If it was a submission issue or if it was a non-collegial, that was different. The committee did a great job of kind of dissecting and going through and making decisions. And I would just say this, one of the greatest things about all the numbers that we have, it makes it where everybody's treated the same and everybody's looked at fair and equitably. So you can't say, hey, Tom doesn't like me. Tom, you know what I mean? The committee doesn't like me. Everything's done by the numbers. It's right there in front of them. And they do a really good job of just kind of losing the name and seeing the numbers.
Yeah, and you talk about equity. There's a lot of it talent-wise across this field. There's parity all over the place and talent all over the place as well. So where does this field rank compared to years past in terms of talent in this field?
Well, I think it's loaded. One of the last things we did when we were talking, some of them would say, hey, there's going to be some unbelievable upsets or unbelievable games in the first round, second round. But you're looking at Snow, who's 25-0 since they lost their last game. We got Cowley's 9-1, Indian Hills 9-1, South Plains is 10-0, Jones is 11-0. You got Panola and you got Trinity Valley, who have played 3 times, 2-1, 1-2, and you get some really interesting dynamics. Daytona, they're 38th in strength of schedule. They're 6-3 ranked. Barton's a defending national champion coming back. They had a great run down the stretch. Pensacola, talk about a great run. And then you look at Frank Phillips. They were 10-2 and ranked teams. They were 7-3. Angelina is an interesting one because they're the 3rd team out of their region or their district, but they beat South Plains, they beat Trinity Valley, and they beat Panola. I mean, I don't know if that might be the trifecta of wins right there, unless you get to beat Snow. But I think it's going to be an unbelievable tournament, the competitiveness, and then it's in a great venue and a great place. And I always say this when I was with the Division II, Hutch is a NJCAA community. I mean, they're all in. I got to sit in on their host meetings, and they just do a great job. You can see the excitement, and it's just a great venue to watch a game.
Before we let you go, Tom, any final comments on behalf of the committee?
Well, I would say this: all the coaches out there that have called, emailed, texted, and there's Division I NCAA coaches that have helped us, throughout this whole process, because we've been doing research since October on teams. It didn't happen just at 9:00 this morning Central Time. We've been at this. Since the first day we got really going in August and September, and so I would just again say thanks to the NJCAA. Jerry has been phenomenal for us, and the whole NJCAA office. I have 2 young ladies in our office that did some unbelievable work, Lori and Tinley. But it's just thanks to the committee, because it's a deep dive. I mean, it isn't that they're just looking and going, Snow's 32-1. That's not what happens. It's way deeper than that, and there's so much information, and I think that's what's good for our coaches, because there's a lot of goodwill built up through the process we went through, and there's so much information that will just help us in the future too.
Well, yeah, thank you for joining us here on this Sunday. Get some rest after working hard this morning, and excited to see you in Hutchinson in this field in a little over a week.
Thanks for everything. Have a great day.
All right, stick around with us on the NJCAA Network. When we come back, we talk with the JUCO Jam folks to get their thoughts on the tournament field before we wrap up our selection show on this Sunday. So stay with us here on the NJCAA Network.
Hey everyone, Nick Nielsen here. Welcome back to the NJCAA Network. Brandon, the brackets have been revealed. Wow. Impossible job really for the committee. We have probably 13 to 15 teams vying for those 8 spots. Tell me a team that you would have loved to have seen in the national tournament on the main stage.
Well, obviously you and I are just reacting to this in the heat of the moment here. Most of the people don't know that they've had you and I in separate, fortunately, hyperbaric chambers for the last 12 hours, feeding us nothing but 1992 White Sox highlights. You've got Grayback sacks, Thomas 643 double plays just dancing through my head, and now we have to react to this.
We got to transition from spring training mode. Yes,
this is what we trained for, though. So. 2 teams I would have loved to have seen in this one. One would have been Gulf Coast. I think Florida, was very good this year. I think Gulf Coast did a fantastic job. And, now we have a system in place that you could have 4 teams from a region in. I think an argument definitely could have been made there. And then Eastern Arizona has been a darling of JUCO Jam for the entire season. They had all the D1 wins and did a great job. That there's some really, really talented players on that team, and seeing them on that stage at Hutch would have been great.
Yeah, they just ran into some big bad Badgers. Personally, I would have loved to have seen Gulf Coast as well. I've fallen in love with Christian Harmon. I think he's a first-team All-American. And then like Dawson, clearly a team good enough to get to a Final Four in the national tournament. So very talented teams across the junior college landscape. In my opinion, there are no great regions. There's great programs everywhere. All right, Brandon, we're going to transition. Round of 24. Give me a game that you're most excited about in this round of 24.
Oh, man. Lots and lots and lots of really, really good games here. I am very excited for this Pensacola Trinidad game. I got to see Trinidad up close and personal later here in the season at the regional tournament. I'd seen them earlier in the season. That combination of Lateef Patrick and Amir Reeves is a problem, and it's reminiscent of DeJour Reeves and Jalen Bedford, that they've had in the past. And Trinidad came down to the buzzer a couple times at Hutch. This is the 4th year in a row for Coach Folda, which is crazy, like pants on your head crazy, that, from a traditionally one bid league, you go for 4 years in a row. And then Pensacola, running through the tournament, has been really talented all season and done a lot. And they were kind of right on that, like bouncing in and out of the top 25 for them to run through. Either one of those teams, whoever comes out of that game, could make a little deeper run. And so that one I'm really excited about.
Shout out to our good friend Cody Hopkins. Cody was all over this. He called Pensacola would win the region in Thanksgiving. He was all over it. For me, I'm really excited about this Midwest Invitational that we've established. We have Vincennes Three Rivers playing into Indian Hills, 3 of the most storied programs in the country. Vincennes and Three Rivers have spent a lot of time on the main stage in the sports arena. All right, Brandon, we're not going to hold you to this. Give me a quick reaction. Who you got in the Final Four?
So this one's, actually pretty chalky for me. As I go through, it's really hard to find a lot of holes in some of these top teams. I think there's some good matchups for them, but they have been kind of the class programs, for a while here. Trinity Valley falling late, and then dropping down to that 7 seed. They could have easily been a top 4 there, but I'm really going Cowley, Indian Hills, South Plains, and then I hope Andrew May doesn't hate me. Friend of the show, number 1 in our
Are you
hearts.
going after the head Badger? Are you calling out the head Badger?
Man, it's one of those things where like you've been the target all season, right? And
you're just trying to give him you're trying to give him some bulletin board material.
I'm giving him some, you can put it up in the locker rooms. You can put a big picture of me, like just put hater across my face. But I think Daytona can get that upset and get to the Final Four. They're a team that I would say, if I'm really objectively looking at this, I think they're underseeded. Given talent and really what they've done this season. So I think that's actually a really tough matchup. They're really athletic. They close out really well. Snow is going to have to really, really make shots to get by them. And so, if I got to pick one that's maybe a little bit upset outside the chalk, I think Daytona could be in that Final Four. All
right, Coach May, I'm not going to bet against you. We love you. I'm taking Snow. I'm going to stick with Jones. I did this last year, Brandon. Jones over South Plains. I'm going to do it again. Hayden, we love you. But I'm taking Jones. I'm sticking with it. And then the team that took out Jones last year was Panola. I'm sticking with Panola. And then my final one, I'm going to stay with Coach Donnie Jackson. So that's Snow, Jones, Cowley, and Panola. Almost chalk, but not quite so. All right, Brandon, I cannot wait to see you in person at the sports arena. I can't wait to get this thing started.
We're almost there.
Saturday at noon Central. And guys, stay with us. This Wednesday, we're going to do our full preview of the national tournament. And for now, we're going to send it back to Zach at the NJCAA Network.
Thank you, Nick and Brandon. And a reminder, you can see those guys on ESPN Plus at the halftime of every game in the tournament. They'll be making the trip out to Hutchinson, so be sure to tune in to all of the JUCO Jam content. All right, before we wrap up, one final look at the bracket before we sign off. Again, we'll start in the top left corner. 16 seed John A. Logan, 17 seed Connor State. Number 1 seed overall is Snow. 9 seed Barton, 24 seed Brunswick, Winner gets the 8 seed Daytona State. 13 seed is Chipola, another Florida team that has impressed this year. They get the 20 seed Monroe with a 4 seed South Plains waiting in the second round. Angelina is in. They take on South Georgia State as the 12 and 21 matchup with a 5 seed Jones waiting. 15 seed is Triton, 18 is Columbia State with number 2 Cali up next. Then the 10 seed Pensacola State, 23 seed Trinidad State for Trinity Valley in the second round. 14 seed Vincennes, 19 seed Three Rivers, 3 seed Indian Hills, and the final 3 games in that bottom right corner is Frank Phillips, the 11 seed, again for the first time since 1958 there in the tournament, taking on the 22 seed Wallace State, with the winner getting number 6 seed Panola. Thank you everybody for tuning in on this Selection Sunday. What an awesome day it has been. Congratulations to the 24 teams that are in this tournament, the 16 district champs, the 8 at-large bids. Remember, you can stay up to date with everything going on the NJCAA Network X or on NJCAA Basketball. So stay up to date on that. Watch on ESPN Plus or head on to Hutchinson, Kansas and meet us out there. Can't wait to see you March 22nd to the 29th. We will be in Hutchinson, Kansas to determine our NJCAA Division I men's basketball champion. Thanks everybody, and we will see you out there. Have a good night.